Okay, let's kick things off today with a seriously chilling scenario. Think about it. What actually happens when a flawless, absolutely picture perfect marriage is in reality a terrifying, perfectly orchestrated hostage situation? Today, we are peeling back the shiny facade of the ultimate power couple, and we're going to reveal a complete masterclass in psychological manipulation and ultimately survival.
That quote right there, it perfectly captures the absolute essence of B.A. Paris's gripping thriller, Behind Closed Doors. We are going to thoroughly analyze the dark psychology at the very heart of this story, and we'll be structuring this explainer almost like a true crime documentary. We're going to explore the chilling anatomy of coercive control, we'll uncover the hidden clues that were literally hiding in plain sight, and we'll witness the incredible, sheer resilience of a victim fighting for her very life.
Section 1. The Perfect Lie. The Illusion of Grace and Jack Angel.
Right, so let's start with the facade. To the outside world, Grace and Jack Angel appear to be the absolute pinnacle of success. I mean, they are the couple that literally everyone else envies. Jack is this brilliant, incredibly wealthy lawyer who, and this adds a really sickening layer of irony to his public persona, he specifically represents battered women. He looks just like George Clooney, and Grace is his beautiful, utterly devoted wife. They live in this stunning, highly secured mansion right at the edge of their village. To all their friends, their life is just an absolute fairy tale.
But here is where we see a terrifying, completely aggressive juxtaposition at play. While guests are downstairs, sipping champagne and marveling at how attentive Jack is, the private reality is a living nightmare. Because the second those guests leave, Grace is secretly locked in a stark, isolated room. She's systematically starved, and she is entirely cut off from the outside world. That high-end security system everyone admires, yeah, it isn't there to keep intruders out. It's there to keep Grace trapped in. Section 2. Anatomy of an Abuser. Breaking down the tactics. To truly understand how Jack pulls off this horrifying double life, we really need to look at the clinical definition of domestic abuse. Jack operates like a textbook psychopath. He utilizes these exact clinical tactics to systematically strip Grace of her agency, her hope, and her identity. He keeps her constantly off balance, making it so she can't even fathom a way to fight back. It's totally methodical. He weaponizes isolation to an absolute extreme. And it started subtly, right, before it escalated into actual physical imprisonment. First, he took away her phone. Then he forced her to quit her job sourcing fruit for Harrods, and he moved her far away from her support network. And then the physical isolation began. He installed heavy steel shutters on the windows, and he locks her in a completely bare room while he goes off to work. He leaves her with absolutely nothing to stimulate her mind, nothing but the sound of his car leaving the driveway. Section 3. The Hostage Mechanism. Control and Compliance. So what is Jack's ultimate goal here? It isn't just physical containment. He wants to break Grace down completely by triggering a very specific trauma response. He is actively trying to induce Stockholm Syndrome. By severely controlling her food, like sometimes leaving her starving for days on end, and then suddenly rewarding her with a meal, he tries to force her to bond with him as her savior. It's incredibly twisted. But despite this brutal conditioning, Grace fights it, and she does it using the absolute last emotional anchor she has left. Grace's sole motivation for staying alive, and honestly for playing the role of the compliant, happy wife at all those dinner parties, is to protect her sister, Millie. Millie has Down syndrome, and Grace is her sole guardian. And guys, this is the horrifying twist. Jack didn't marry Grace for Grace. No, he married Grace to get to Millie. Millie is Jack's actual ultimate target for his sadistic torture once she moves in with them. And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates the incredible secret code between the two sisters. Millie is highly perceptive. During a dinner party, the guests all laugh when Millie repeats this phrase, "I don't like George Clooney," thinking it's just this endearing little quirk. But between Grace and Millie, it is a desperate survival tactic. Millie actually knows Jack is a bad man, and she's terrified of him.
but they both know she has to play along and pretend to like him to survive until Grace can somehow find a way out.
Let's trace how this trap was actually built. Jack initially targeted them in a park. Seeing just how devoted Grace was to Millie, he orchestrated this absolute whirlwind romance, rushing into a marriage in under 6 months, well before Grace had any time to spot the red flags. The trap officially snapped shut on their honeymoon in Thailand, where he took her passport and finally revealed his true nature. But the ultimate horror? That was revealed when they returned home. Jack showed Grace a custom-built, totally soundproof basement room. It was painted entirely red, and it was designed specifically for torturing Millie. Section 4. Clues in Plain Sight. The Cat and Mouse Game. Now, despite Jack's obsessively calculated control, tiny cracks do begin to show when an observant new friend named Esther enters her circle. Esther starts asking pointed questions, and she's watching Grace really closely. In a moment of sheer, heart-pounding suspense, Grace borrows a thriller novel from Esther. Later on, when she's locked in her room, Grace notices words lightly shaded in pencil. Do you need help? It sparks this massive, desperate glimmer of hope Esther is trying to communicate. But here comes the crushing twist. Esther didn't shade the book. Jack did. He planted the book, he waited for Grace to find the hidden message, and he watched her hope absolutely soar just so he could watch it shatter. He did it specifically to mock Grace and to prove that he controls every single tiny variable in her environment. This specific detail really highlights Jack's truly sadistic nature. He doesn't just want physical control, he thrives on the complete psychological devastation of his victims. I mean, he even locked Grace's beloved dog Molly in a utility room with just enough water to almost survive while they were away, ensuring Grace would come home to find her dead. It is pure, unadulterated psychological warfare. Section 5. The Ultimate Escape. Surviving the Perfect Lie. The tension reaches an absolute boiling point during a forced trip to Thailand, leading to a climax that shifts the power dynamic entirely. In a stunning reversal, we learn that Jack is found dead back in England. And the irony here is absolute perfection. He is found locked inside his own inescapable, soundproof red basement room, without enough of his medication to survive. But, the suspense doesn't just end with Jack's death. Grace returns from Thailand, and she has to execute a completely flawless performance for the police. Jack had spent months telling everyone, including the authorities, that Grace was mentally fragile and prone to making up wild stories. So Grace brilliantly leans into this exact persona. She plays the frail, grieving widow perfectly to avoid murder charges, totally denying she knew the Red Room couldn't be opened from the inside. So the crucial point here is this. Grace might have fooled the police by using Jack's own lies against him, but she still has to confront Esther. Esther is the one person who never ever bought the perfect marriage routine. She's the one person who actually saw through the public illusion. In the final, breathtaking encounter of the story, Esther meets up with Grace, and she asks this highly specific, totally chilling question: what color was Millie's room, Grace? This question proves definitively that Esther knew about Jack's horrific red basement all along. She knew the terrifying truth of what was really happening behind those closed doors. Grace's tearful answer is just this profound emotional catharsis. By answering simply red, it cements a silent, unspoken pact between the two women. Esther knows Grace orchestrated Jack's death, and Esther is going to help her keep the secret forever. It is the exact moment that confirms Grace's and Millie's ultimate freedom. Section 6. Final Thoughts. The Reality of Coercive Control. This whole story is a complete masterclass in suspense, right? But it also uses fiction to terrifyingly illustrate the very real-world tactics of coercive control and psychological abuse. It leaves us with one final haunting thought to take away today. The next time you look at the perfect couple next door, the ones with the flawless house and the fairy tale romance, how well do you really know what goes on behind closed doors? Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.